What the devil meant for evil, Yahuwah meant for good. And it took over, oh my goodness, almost 2 decades for me to come and realize that through all the hardships, through all the trials, through all the ups and downs that I've been through in life, wondering, why am I going through this? Why is this happening? Why does it seem like I get a little bit of success and it just comes crashing down? And then the cycle just keeps repeating itself. It's literally, I know people say like two different things. They say it's the rat race. They say it's the hamster wheel. It's worse than that. It's literally both. You're literally on a hamster wheel in a rat race, thinking that there's an end in sight when there's not. And that's what happens when you base everything on this world's standards and not on the foundation of the Most High. And you come to seasons where there's slowdowns, there's peaks, there's highs, there's lows. And of course, while you're going through it, you don't see how it's working for your good. And as I said, it took me about 2 decades to come to the realization that everything that I was going through was to get me into a better place, to put me in a better position. And it took having to be here and looking at the rearview mirror to see what it was. And I had to use that line from Joseph because Joseph went from his brothers hating him, throwing him into a pit, thinking about killing him. And instead of that, they ended up selling him to slaves, as a slave to like slavers. And they took him to Egypt. And from there, he went to Potiphar's house. And from there, he ends up, of course, getting falsely accused of assaulting Potiphar's wife and got put into the prison. Ended up interpreting the dream of the baker and the cupbearer. And when it came true for the cupbearer, he said, "Hey, remember me when you go back to Pharaoh." And he ends up forgetting him instantly. And eventually, the cupbearer at the time that was appointed remembered him, and he was able to get appointed to the second most powerful position in all of Egypt. And as you can see in that story, there's so many valleys, there's so many ups and downs that regardless of the bad situation that Joseph found himself in, he tried to at least see the upside. When he was in Potiphar's house as a slave, he was the top slave. He was running Potiphar's house. When he was in the prison, he was running the prison. He was helping them with all their administration and everything. And then finally it got to Pharaoh's throne room, where he became the second most powerful person. Technically first, unless Pharaoh was on his throne in all of Egypt. And his dream that he had of his parents and his brothers bowing down to him did come to pass. And of course, when his father passed away, his brothers were worried, and him saying, "No, what you meant for evil, the Most High meant for good." So when we're going through those trials and those tribulations, we don't see that at that moment. And going through life and seeing it, I was one of those kids that at 18 years old, I was evicted from my house or kicked out, whichever word you want to go and use it. I remember my mom giving me less than 30 days to get out of her house. And I did everything I could. I was begging, I was pleading. I even said, "Hey, I'll give you my full paycheck from the job I'm working." And during this time, I'm going to college, well, community college full time and working almost full time. And I even like try to beg her saying, "Hey, if you give me 3 months, I'll give you like 100% of my full paycheck from this job. I'll just somehow get another job and use that to save up to move out. Just give me some time." But time was not on there. My mom was just done. And I know at the time it it ended up hurting because wondering, hey, I thought that I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, going to school, working full time. And one of those things you have to come to is people only have a capacity for so much. And that's not to excuse anything, it's just to be able to understand that people can only meet you where they are currently at. So, of course, I'm panicking. And the issue I end up falling into is I'm one of the youngest people in my friend group. And all my friend group, they had like varying family backgrounds, but pretty much all of them had already moved out. But all of them are pretty much a year older than me. So there was no one available to go roommate with. I'm panicking because there is no way with what my current wage was that I would be able to afford an apartment by myself and be able to make it. Even during the 2005 rates, a roommate was needed. And unfortunately, the only one I could find was literally a boyfriend I had that I was about to literally break up with the day after this happened. Literally, I already had planned. I was done with him. It wasn't going anywhere. I saw there was no future in this, and I was thinking in my head, okay, tomorrow I'm breaking it off. This is not it. And unfortunately, my mom beat me to the punch and told me, hey, you have 30 days to get out. This was the day before I made the decision of like doing the breakup date. And of course, she did this right in front of my boyfriend, who I was planning to break up with the next day. And thinking about it, I'm like, this was intentional because, of course, I even asked her, saying, like, well, am I supposed to go? I don't think there's anyone available and everything. And one of the words that she ended up saying is, well, you have your boyfriend next to you. It's like you have places that you can go to. Okay. So, of course, I ended up actually picking him up to take him to my house. So, of course, he got into my car. I'm driving him back to his place. And he ends up saying, well, if you need a roommate, I can be your roommate. It's literally the definition of being a rock in a hard place. And I'm just thinking in my head, there's got to be another way. There's got to be another way. And I even told him, like, well, wait, let me go check with a few other people and see if there really is like no other options. And throughout the whole week, I'm calling people, trying to figure out living situations. No one was available. So the boyfriend I was supposed to break up with ended up becoming my roommate. And that took me through a 5-year roller coaster of emotional abuse, physical abuse, until finally one night I was done, called up my friends, and we literally, and my older brother, and we literally ransacked our apartment at night while he was at work. Excuse me. Ended up at that time being able to move in with one of my friends because they had a 3-bedroom and they had a room available. So thank the Most High for that. I was able to get myself stable. But during this time, I'm thinking, I just went from a home situation that it wasn't the greatest, it wasn't the worst either, but it was what I knew, to having to jump into a living situation with someone I didn't want to actually live with and end up wasting 5 years thinking, I'm like, well, let me make the best of the situation. Then having to leave in the dead of night for my own safety. And then one day I'm just approached by an old colleague of mine from my job, and he tells me about the military. This is during the Great Recession of 2008 to 2011. So job opportunities were very scarce. And he told me about that. So I ended up being, well, this could be the opportunity that I need to actually get on my feet properly, because getting abruptly kicked out of my house, going to an abusive situation, trying to make the best of that situation, but was continually failing out of college. because of the abusive situation. I did eventually finish my college degree after I got out of that situation. I did dedicate the last year to finishing that before my colleague approached me with this. So I ended up signing up for the military thinking, hey, this is going to be the opportunity. This is going to be my way out of these trials and tribulations of all these valleys, these mountains with no clear view of what's ahead of me. I joined the military, ends up being great for the first part. And then the other, I would say 20% of it was great. The other 80% literally drove me completely into the psych ward. Because I was being molded into someone I didn't know. I was having to do things that were not based on my values, on my standards, and it took a toll on me mentally. And as I'm in this psych ward, just wondering about my life and all the years that have gone by and thinking, is there any reason for this? Is there any reason to be here for this? It seems like when I'm starting to do well in my current situation, even though, yes, it's not the most comfortable situation, but at least it seems like I'm getting somewhere. I get knocked back down again. And after being in that psych ward, that's when I ended up picking back up my Bible again and challenging the Most High to show himself, to see if he actually was real. And after becoming saved, after that weekend of reading his word, he started me through the refinement process, which is not a painless process. I was kind of thinking, okay, I thought that this is a misconception of Christianity. They say once you're saved, good things are going to start happening to you. And when you start to expand into your studies, when you even see what the Messiah even said, that, hey, they're going to treat you bad because they treated me bad first. And even going to like the apocrypha and looking at the book of like Sirach, it even says in chapter 2 there that once you decide to take this path, to follow the path of Yahusha, to follow the path of the Most High, you're going to be tried. And the thing about trying is that it's taking the impurities of the world out of you. That way you get into alignment with what the Most High has for you. And that leads to you going down into the valley of the shadow of death. But here's the thing, he's with you through the whole process. He's in that fire with you. He's in that darkness with you. There was days I didn't even want to wake up. There was days that I couldn't even see the light. And somehow he's still just there with his voice saying, keep getting back up. It's like, I'm with you. And it wasn't by me. It was by his strength. It was by his power that I'm even here. Because without him, I would have already checked out of this life at least 3 times. 2 by my own hand. 1 because of how much I had destroyed my health. Trying to go against the current. Trying to have success. Trying to make the best out of a bad situation. And just finding out I'm just making the situation worse. So finally, I came to the point where I just fully submitted to the Most High, saying, apparently, I don't know what I'm doing. Apparently, what the world is saying, how you get success, is not the way to go about it. So I want to know, what is success for you? What is this living water that doesn't run dry? What is this joy that you can have even when you're in the fire? I want to know what that is. What is having peace when everything is falling apart? I want to know about that. And he literally took me under his wing. He showed me through his word. He taught me through his word how to stand on his foundation, how to follow in his ways, his laws, his statutes, his commandments, how to seek the kingdom of heaven and its righteousness and walk in it. And when I finally discovered that I was just repeating a cycle of being on a hamster wheel in a rat race, and here's the thing, until are made aware of a situation you are in, no amount of pleading, explaining, information from others is going to give you that epiphany moment. You have to come to it yourself. And once you see it, you can't unsee it, because then you start seeing it in other people's lives too. And you're thinking, wait, we're all on this hamster wheel on a rat race because we are following what the world says is the standard. And I was done. I walked away from that. I walked away from a good job that anybody would say, like a good job, even though it was destroying my mental health. It was destroying my spirit. I didn't even know who I was. And I said enough. And every time I kept getting a new medical prognosis, and it just kept piling up, all these little anthills that started becoming mountains. In the midst of that all, I'm not trying to compare myself to Job, but I now understand when his wife came up to him saying, hey, just curse the Most High and die for everything that you're going through, all this hardship and everything. Instead of that, I end up considering all joy. Every time I started getting another diagnosis, I praised him. I said, only you, Most High. Whatever you have for my life, it's like only you can see me out of this, because I can't see my way out of it. I'm not even going to try to work my way out of it. Tell me what I need to do. Guide me in my way. That it got to the point that even when I got another medical prognosis, it was so bad that even one of my providers I went to and they wanted me to list off everything that was wrong with me, I had to just tell them what is not. That's how long the list was. What is not wrong? I started changing. Not even me changing. It wasn't even me. It was him. To start seeing it differently. To see you have been running this race so hard. You have been running in circles for so long. You have been in the world so much that it was burning you out. It was breaking you down. I had to force you to sit down and slow down, or you were going to burn out. And when I came to that realization, as I'm crying in the middle of the night with my scriptures, talking to Most High about why does this keep piling up, I thought following you would clear everything up, would all the problems would disappear. No, there's consequences to actions, y'all. There's consequences to actions. And hearing him say that he was doing it to save me from myself, to save me from what the world had said is the standard of the hustle and grinding, of being ever productive, of just settling. And coming to find out, my creator, our creator, doesn't ever want us to settle. And then just being in this current space where now starting this, not even starting anyone, I'm fully into this entrepreneurship journey. After taking that leap of faith of getting the sign from the Most High of, hey, it's time for you to completely leave the career behind. I need you to depend on me because I am the source. All these are just resources. I need you to know where your source, who is your source? Where does your resources come from? Who do you truly depend on? Because remember, you can't serve two masters. So I took that leap of faith in February of 2025. Put in my resignation. Let all my certifications for human resources expire, not even renewing them. All the decade plus career of certifications, of experience, of leadership skills, 20 years of customer service skills, of just business skills, just threw it out the window and told them, let's do this. Show me the way. And being shown that each month he has been providing for me. Because yes, that's the only way I can explain it, because there's no other way to explain it. The math don't math, y'all. Of stop over planning. Just do what I tell you to do. Here's the vision. Acknowledge me in your ways and I will establish your path. And the thing about it is, after doing that, of giving over control, of carrying a weight I didn't need to carry anymore, I started waking up with joy. I started giving him praise every time I woke up and saw the day sky. And just saying, this is the day the Most High has made and I will rejoice in it. No longer was I on Sundays having the Sunday blues of, oh my goodness, I got to do it all over again, of wishing my time away, of going to bed thinking, can I not wake up in the morning so I don't have to go and do this again? All of that gone. Now doing work that inspires me, work that fuels me, work that brings me peace and joy. And no longer being comfortable with the chaos that I was raised in, or the chaos that I went through after even leaving my home and just going through those ups and downs and continually keep being knocked down. And now it's just to the point where I know that I'm blessed. And I give all of that, all the glory, all the honor, all the praise to the Most High. Hallelujah for that. So I'm here as a living testimony that you don't have to keep running that race that you never wanted to participate in, or you never knew you were even entered into. And that hamster wheel on a rat race that just keeps continuing the cycles of, hey, just keep working harder, keep hustling and grinding, keep being productive. No, sleep when you're dead. That time has come and gone. It's time for not even something new, because he created all of it. Going back to what it means to really actually be human, to actually follow the Most High, to go back to this peace and joy that he gives you that is just beyond understanding. If this is something that, even if you're just curious about, even if you're just lurking, just follow me, because I am going to be here every week, unless I state otherwise, because there's such things as breaks, y'all. I'm not going back to the world standard to be talking about these testimonies, be talking about the faith, to be talking about the spiritual gifts, to be talking about why the enemy comes after you when you have a gifting. Everyone, stay blessed.